All right, guys. All right. Welcome to Frank Teaches. MLOps. Yeah, my lovely viewers. So, guys, in today's video, we are going to be looking at Pandas DataFrame Part 5. All right. Pandas DataFrame Part 5. And this will be our topic. This will be our topic for for this series, part 5. Okay, first we'll create data frame. We are going to work with. All right, so this topic is about operations. Operations. All right, so it's about operations. So there are different methods. All right, methods that we will be working with. Okay, so I'll look at unique. So we're going to look at length. We are going to look at nunique and value underscore count. Okay, we're also going to look at the apply function. Though all of these are methods, right? They're all methods. And we'll look at sorting and ordering. And finally, we'll look if a data frame is null. All right, not null. Okay. And finally, we look at pivot table. All right, so we look at what pivot table. I think we have one more series, which is part 6, to complete up with the series. All right, great, guys. Without further ado, let's get started. So I'm going to open this. All right, so I have this. Great, guys. Great. So convert this to markup. There we go. Great. Okay. So import pandas as what PD. Yep. So we need to create our what data frame. So we'll say data is equal to a dictionary. Okay. So column 1 and the value of column 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. Column 2 and the value of column 2. 444, 555, 66, 444. Then finally, column 3, the value of column 3. All right. So it's a list of string ABC, DEF, GHI, XYZ. Yeah, good, guys. All right, so let's display our data. So this is what these are our data, right? This is our data. Now let's use this data to create a data frame. So df pd dot what data frame. I'm passing my data, and I print out my data frame. So you can see this is the content of my data frame. All right. So we've gotten started, guys. So we've just created our data frame. Now you can see this data. We want to check if let's choose a particular column. We want to check the uniqueness, right? So check the uniqueness of a column, right? So checking the uniqueness of a column. So let's look at the uniqueness checks for duplicity, right? Row duplicity of a column. So let's check it. So I'll say df dot unique. Is there any function like unique? Unique. Wow. Unique of column 2. It has no attributes. It has no attributes. Um okay, this should be let me install do I need to do that? All right. Let me do something, because this should be a function, a method in pandas. So pip install um pip install pandas. Let me see, because I know very well that unique is a method. All right, it's a method in pandas. So equally I can print the arrow, the methods, print all the methods in pandas pd, print all the method. Can I look for unique? This is unique now. unique, that's unique. Unique. So for obvious reasons, I don't know why it's not coming up. All right. So since it's not coming up, let's look out for nunique. So nunique, it tries to let's see what nunique does. Nunique. It's not a list. It doesn't accept a list. All right. So we have to define an axis. So in nunique, you have to define an axis. If you remember, in previous lectures, all right, when you are dealing with um columns in pandas data frame, all right, the column, all right, when you're dealing with data, all right, in pandas data frame, the column is represented as axis equal to 1, while the row is represented as axis equal to what? 0. All right. So if you're dealing with columns, the axis has to be what? 1. Okay. So let's run this and see. I only got multiple values for. Okay. All right. So I can just pass my axis to be that. All right. So this is what nunique does. All right. So nunique. What did the nunique do? So nunique, what did it do? It tries towards count the number of items, right, in each row. It counts the number of items in each row for the columns, right? It counts the number of items in each row for the columns, right? So as it is now, we have for this row, right? For this row, it is 3, 1, 3, 2, 3, and 3, 3. Okay, so that's n unique. So for obvious reasons, I don't know why what's it called, unique is not going through. Okay, now we also look at what length. We can look at that's the length of the data frame. So we have our df, so we can come here and say length of df. So the length of df gives us the total length. All right, it gives us what the total length of data frame. Okay, so this length of is always handy when you need to know how long is your data frame. All right, so you can see the length is 4 rows. That's the length, right? Similarly, we could get it through what n unique. Okay, at the same time we also could get it through what length, right? So now I have the next one is what value underscore count. I can see here we have here value underscore count. So I can come here and say df dot value, all right, value underscore count. Okay, so value underscore count, it's what does it do? All right, it counts the is just like n unique similarly, but let's look at what it does. All right, so now it counts the number of rows, just like n unique, right? It counts the number of rows. It tells us that, right? Column 1, column 2, column 3, right? This item is appearing once. This other item is appearing once. This other item is appearing once. So that item is appearing once. All right. Now, the work of the unique would have. Let me look for it again one more time. I don't know why it's not coming up. Okay. VF dots unique is not coming up. Wait. Call to dots. All right, guys. Apologies, guys. Apologies. Apologies, guys, please. So this is the syntax. Okay. So there is a syntax. Okay. So the data frame followed by the column on that data frame, then the unique method. So I want to check how the uniqueness of column what? Column 2. You can see in column 2, there is a duplicate row. There's a what? Duplicate row. So what it will do, it will try to what? It will try to remove duplicity, right, in that row. So if I run this, I should have it that it will display this in an array, right? It tells us that it tries to what? Remove duplicity. So unique command, all right, unique command is actually used, all right, to remove what? Duplicity. So let's see how we can convert this to a data frame. Come here. Sorry, guys. All right, it's just only a function. Accept only a function, and I think that's all. All right. Now we can also check, all right, the the length of this. You can check the length of this as well. All right. The length of all of this gives us what? 3. You can see, guys. All right. So this is how you pass, all right, the uniqueness, right, of a what? Of a of the columns. Okay. So that's it, guys. So after that, let's quickly look into what the apply function. Okay. So the apply function is used to apply um other functions. It's used to apply other functions. For instance, I'll come here and say df of column 2. All right, dot apply what? The length of column 2. So if I should run this as no length, okay. Column 2 is what it says. Okay, let's reframe it. Let's reframe it. All right, let's reframe this. Now, for instance, now let me do right. If let me apply this apply function very appropriately. All right, let me apply it very appropriately. Now, let's say, for instance, I have a function defined, right, times 2 or sum 2 times 2. Now pass a parameter, an argument to the function. Let's say x. All right. Now I want to return what? X times 2. X times 2. Right. So that's my function, right? Great. Now, based on this function now, all right, I want to what? Use what? The apply method. So I'll come here and say what? df of column. Let's start with column 1, right? Dot apply what? Apply the function name. I'm calling the function name in my apply what method. I'll say what? Times what? Times 2. Now, this is what this thing will do now, right? It's going to pick the entire element of column 1 and multiply it by what? By this method. Multiply it by this function I just created. Now, what this function doing? Now, if I come here now, all right. So if I say something else, if I say something like this, times 2, I'm calling times 2, right? So 2 by 2, right? I'll have an output, right? Okay. 2 times 2, it gives us 2 times 2. Okay. Why am I getting it? 4. Okay. It gives us a value, all right? So similarly, I can pass this function, right, to what the apply function. Okay. So once I do that, I come over here and hit enter. Now, what this function is going to do, okay, is going to take the entire column. Let's print out our column first. df of column 1. It takes the entire item of this column, all right, of this column, and multiply it what? By 2. Okay, takes the entire item of this column and does what? Multiplied by 2. 2 times 1, 2, 2, 4, 6, 8, 6, and 8. All right, you can see how you can what? Apply, can use the what? The apply method. Okay, great. So similarly, we could create a lambda function for this function that we've written here. Okay, so we could pass a lambda function inside of this apply method. So can come here and say df of call 1 dot apply lambda of x column. The function, what's the lambda going to do? What's the function of the lambda? So I say multiply by 2, x multiply by what? Multiply by 2. X multiply by what? By 2. And there we go. So if I hit enter, it will return the same thing. All right. So we can do it either ways. Either creating a normal Python function, all right, or we can go ahead, all right, to create a lambda function. And a lambda function is just a one-liner, right? So this is simplicity of a lambda function. So as we progress in our journey, we shall see more lambda functions, right? We shall get to see what? More lambda functions, right? So that was apply method. So the next method we have is sorting and ordering. So quickly, let's look into sorting and ordering. So as a df of column 1 dot sort values, all right? Sort underscore values, okay? Now sort underscore values, what and what does it accept? So I want to sort um um column 1, all right, either in ascending order, okay, or what, or descending order. So how do we do it now? Let's check. Let me look at the example they've used here, right? df.sort values by this column, right? So even without specifying by the column, all right, you can come here and say, okay, let me remove this like this. The data frame dot sort value, I can come here and say the column name, column 1, right? So I'm sorting this column, right? So it sorts for me based by ascending order, all right? Now let's check other method we can use. So by default, it is ascending. You can see now by default, it sorts it in a what? In an ascending order. Ascending order is what? Is true, right? So if I come here and say ascending false, ascending is equal to false. Let's see what happens. You can see. So like I said, by default, ascending is true. But now I've said sort this entire column 1. All right, sort it for me in what? In descending order. You can see 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. Now, similarly, I can sort column 2. I come here and say sort values, column 2. You can see column 2, I'm having 6, 6 in descending order, 6, 6, 6, 5, 5, 5, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4. So if I want to sort it in ascending order, since ascending is by default, I'll clear the ascending argument and run that. I'll have it in ascending order. So while this column is sorted, you can see that the index, right? The index follows the sorted pattern. All right. Now it follows the sorted pattern. So normally we had 0, 1, 2, 3. But since those values for those indexes has been shifted, all right, has been sorted, all right, the index also will sort alongside their values. So that's what you're seeing is happening on what? On the index. Index will not rearrange itself, all right? It won't rearrange itself. So this is it, guys. Okay, this is it. So these are you what perform sorting on a column. And yeah, so now have the next set of functions, operations is null and not null. So we can check if items in a data frame is null. So can say data frame dot is null. So it's a function, all right? So this is a function, right? I hit enter. It tells me that these items are not empty, right? The items in the data frame are not empty. That is why we are having this output false, false, false. You're asking, is the data frame null? Is it null? No, it's not null. Is it null? No, it's not empty, right? So there is something, there are values in each of what? The rows on what? On the columns, right? Now I can also check if not null. Yes, it's not null. So df dot not null. It's also a function. It returns true. It returns true because it is not empty. Not empty. Yes, it's not empty. right? Not empty. Yes, it's not empty. Okay. So that's it, guys. Okay. So there are a lot of other methods, but as we progress, can see we have isnull here. All right. We have not null, not okay, not null. All right, and a whole lot, guys. All right, and a whole lot. As we progress, guys, we shall get to learn more of more of more of more of these. So the last but not the least is what pivot table, right? So pivot table is an Excel kind of function, right? So for those of us coming from Excel background, right, where do you have an idea of a pivot table? Okay, so what is actually a pivot table? A pivot table is a function that is used in reducing the size. All right, it reduces the size of um of a data set. For instance, let's go to Google. Right, if I come to Google and I say pivot table. So what does it do? A pivot table in Excel is a dynamic interactive tool that summarizes and analyzes data, making it easy to explore relationships and trends within what large data sets. Right? Now, it says a powerful way of to visualize data, filter specific items, and quickly gain insights without needing to write complex formulas. So that's the beauty of what a pivot table. So now, for instance, let me explain this table you're seeing here now. All right. Now you have this information: name, sum of total, sum of HP, sum of attack, sum of defense. All right. Now, based on this information, you use this information to recreate a kind of a multi-level index. All right. This information you have here now, you use it to what, to recreate a multi-level index. From that multi-level index, you can now compute. Okay, this is more better off. Now look at this now. Okay. Um. This is date, color, region, units, sales. Right. The colors I have is red, blue, green, red, blue, green, red, blue, green. So based on this color, I can compute the number of sales. Based on the color, and compute what number of sales. So this is just a top level explanation of what a pivot table is all about. So let's go to our dashboard, our notebook. So let me create a data frame. All right, and from that data frame we can create a pivot table out of the data frame, right? So I'll come here, I will say let me call this DB, right? Let me call it data. So data is equal to um, our dictionary. So I'll say A has a value. Then B has a value. Then C has a value. Then D also have a value. So D value is 1325541. That's D value. Then C value will be X, Y. So let me duplicate it, right, into six places, guys. So XY xy, xy, xy into 6 places. All right. So I'll come to B. So B will be 1, 1, 1, 2, 2. All right. Then finally 1, 1. Okay. Then our A value will be 4, 4 bar. So that's it. So let me bring this down so that it looks presentable. There we go. So if I run this and I print my data, and let's print our data frame. So let's say, let me call it ld dot what? Sorry, pd dot data frame of my data. My data is what? My data is data, right? So we have this, right? We have this, okay? We have this. So let me come here and say ld equals to that, right? Then ld, right? So this is my data frame. Based on this data, all right, I want to what? I want to create a pivot table, all right? So what do I do? So I say ld dot pivot underscore table. So that's the function. So now I want to look at the documentation for using what? The pivot table method. So this method, all right, accepts a values, it accepts index, and also what? Sets columns, all right? Sets columns. And yeah, okay. So now let's look how we can create this. Now from this table now, right? I want to use this column D as my values. So I'll come over here, I'll say values is equal to what? Is equal to D. I'm passing parameter now to the what? To the pivot method. So I'll say what? Values equals to what? D, comma. What else do I need to pass? Right? So I need to pass my index, right? So in here, I want to use both A and B as a multi-level index. I want to use what? Both A and B as a what? A multi-level index. So I'll now come index. Index is equal to, right? So I'll pass that as a string, right? Since I'm passing more than one values, right? So those are my index. Then finally, my columns, right? My columns will be column what? C. So now, what this function will do now, look at this now. It takes this column as your set of values, the D column, right? Then you index. It will use both A and B to arrange this 4, 1 into what? A multi-level index, right? Then finally, it will use these values in column C to create columns, all right? So this will give me a new kind of table, which is a multi-index, a multi-level index table. Let's run this function and see what happens. So if I run this is what I have. You can see now, guys. So this is column A and column B. Sorry, index A and index B. So if you watched a video on multi-level index, all right, you understand that this index, we call it outside. That's the index A, is our outside index, while index B happens to be our what? Inside index, right? So bar has 1, 2, 4 has 1, 2, right? Then the column has 2 columns, X and Y, all right? So for the value of bar, all right, and 1, the value is 4, okay? Value is 4, uh-huh, uh-huh. You can see here, bar 1, X value is what? 4. Bar 1, X value is 4. Bar 1, X value is 4. Bar 2, there's no X value for bar 2. There's no bar 2. What we have there is Y value. Bar 2, Y value is 5. All right. Bar 2, Y value is 5. That's what you're having here. So there's no X value for bar 2. That's why we're having not a number. Right. Similarly, we have for 4. For 1, X value is 1. For 1, X value is 1. For 1, X value is 1. Then for 2, X value is 2. For 2, X value is what? Is 2. And we're having not a number for Y because there's no value, there's no Y value for 2, right? So this is it, guys. All right. So this is how you can actually, you create a pivot table, all right, out of a given data set. I will encourage us, guys, all right, can use base this method, right, to create a what? A pivot table from what we have in here. All right. So you can also pass some aggregation function. Can I? Let me check. Dots. All right. Can I? Sum. All right. So it's like you can pass some aggregation. That's good. So you can see now, you can actually pass aggregation functions, right? Aggregation method to what? To your pivot, to the items in your pivot table. As you can see, the values in S column is what? 7. The values in Y column is what? Is 9. I can pass mean. So this is the mean. I can also pass standard deviation. This is standard deviation, right? So you can pass a whole lot of, you can pass counts. Counts, you can see. Number of X is 3. Number of Y is 3. So this is it, guys, right? So this is everything about pivot table. So you can also apply pivot table to this data that you've seen here, right? So they computed all of these. So these are the columns, red, blue, or green, all right? They computed their values, all right? So you can try this, use this to create a what? To create a pivot table, right? So that's it for this series, guys. All right, that's it for this series. So let's do a recap. So in our recap, all right, we saw how we created a new data frame that we worked with, right? And we looked at the uniqueness of the data, right? How unique is the data, column wise, right? Column wise. So what does unique do? So unique tries to what? To remove what? Duplicity wherever there's what? Duplicate records. Wherever there's a duplicate record, the unique function, all right, will what? Remove it, right? So when we did this, right, we got the uniqueness of the column, right? You can see in this column there are what? There's a duplicate record, right? To remove this duplicate record, you're going to take the uniqueness of that column. So come here, which we did here, and that gives us this value, all right, as an array. Okay, as an array. Okay, great. All right. So we also looked at the n unique. N unique is like the length of a data a data frame. All right. And also we also look at what the length of data frame, and we look at values underscore counts. All right. And we also look at the apply method. All right. Though most of this method we won't be using them, but is very it's very necessary that we get to know about these methods, right? Very necessary that get to know about what these methods. Okay, and finally we looked at sorting and ordering, and we also looked at is null not null, right, to check if our data frame, the records in the data frame, is empty or is not empty. And finally we looked at what a pivot table. All right guys, so that's it guys. I hope this session has been informative, and I hope to see you guys in our next episode. Thank you and have a lovely week ahead. Thank you.